Hi there, and welcome to part 5 of PHP RSS Newsfeed, the series, how to do news feeds. Now, hopefully you've watched all the other ones. I'll just briefly touch on what we did. We built a database, we built populated feeds into here. We populated our feed list, so we know what news feeds that we're going to automatically draw our stories from. And we've made a script that'll automatically draw these stories. Now, in the previous video, we just went ahead and put these right into here using the insert button. I'm going to go ahead and make a form for, it might be the next video or two, that we'll have a form where you can just go ahead and click a link from your feed tester directly to a form where you can go ahead and enter that information once you've verified a feed is good. And okay, so now I want to get back to the cron jobs here, because this cron script that I showed you that you run in order to make the feed go together, we didn't really touch on this, but this is going to have to run automatically. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. Now, if you're using XAMPP, you're not really going to be able to use an external cron, and I'm not really familiar enough to know whether or not XAMPP has an internal cron or anything like that. Probably does, and I'm sure I'll hear something about that. But I don't use any of that. I use an external cron service. There's two that I like to use. One is called easycron.com, and that's easycron.com. And if you go to that and sign up, you can put your scripts in here and set a time, and they'll run on a predetermined time basis. Another one that I like to use that costs money to use is for 5 cron jobs, you pay $25 a year. For 10 cron jobs, you pay $34 a year. This gives you more frequent scheduling. For example, any of these 5 or 10, and you can order up to 80 for $115 a year. But regardless of which plan you're on, you can set your cron jobs to run as often as once every minute, and they won't time out. They time out if they haven't. They'll time out in 60 seconds. In other words, if your cron job hasn't completed in 60 seconds, it'll time out and fail. And you can fail 100 times, and then if you do, they'll turn you off, and then they'll send you an email. Most recently, I came in here a few days ago. Feeds have a tendency to fail, so every now and then you will get an email. If you have a lot of feeds like I do. I have a lot of feeds. I have over 200 and some feeds across my sites, and about once every week, once every 3 or 4 days, I just come in here and clean off the failed crons. And about once every 2 to 4 weeks, I'll miss it, and I'll get an email that says your cron job hit 100 failures and it's shut down. They don't typically fail one after another for 100 times, but anyway, to get to the long and short of it, once you have your website up on a server and you're going to harvest these feeds, you're going to want an online cron service like this. Now, if you don't want to get an online cron service, there is another alternative, and that alternative involves, if you have a computer that's on almost all the time, you have a nice fast connection, and you're not really worried about it, you can set this tag in your cron. As you notice, I put a head tag and I put a title tag, which was the feed title. And so what I've gone ahead and done here is I've put this meta tag, meta http equib equals refresh, content equals, and I've got this set at 15, so it'll show you in a real big hurry. And also I did something else here. I had this cron running both of my feeds, but don't really want to do that because the other video that I did that in was very long and detailed, and we don't really want to get into that for this video. We just want to keep it pretty much on what cron will do. So I'm going to go ahead and do a file save on this. And you can see when I hit this meta refresh at 15 seconds, and you wouldn't necessarily want to set it at 15 seconds. If you set it at 300 seconds, that would do a cron at once every 5 minutes. But let me go back over to this, and you can see that it had just croned Atlanta weather blog. So right now it's in the process of automatically cronning again, and now it just scraped Jamie Dupree's Washington Insider. And if we give it about another, I don't know, about 8 or 10 seconds, you'll see that that weather blog again, and it'll scrape that. You see, that's what it's doing right now. So every 15 seconds, it's visiting these news feeds and seeing if they have news stories, and if they do, it's going to put it in our database. I don't think we have anything new in our database because this newspaper doesn't really seem to run that fast. Yeah, it's still the 20 we had. And also, you got to understand, it's 3:28 in the morning on a Monday morning, so there's really not a lot of news getting reported at this moment. So anyway, yeah, that's cron, and that's how it'll work for your system and how it'll keep your data flowing during the daytime. And when you have a lot more feeds than just these two feeds coming from everywhere, you take, for example, Flora-Blog News. I haven't refreshed this in a little while, and you can see that's 89,700, and I haven't touched it, but let me go ahead and refresh it and see what it shows. Okay, so it pulled up another 5. So yeah, it's been a while, but maybe not that awful long. But you got to remember it's 3 o'clock in the morning, so therefore. So yeah, that's cron, and that's how you put it to work. And it's the easiest way you can put it to work on your desktop if you have a computer that's constantly on. Now, once you have this on your server, you can still run this off your desktop from your server. You almost have to if you're running the XAMPP version of this. But once you have it on your server, you can also just go to the address of the cron job on your server and put one of those refresh tags in there. You can open it up in a back window, minimize that window, and just as long as your computer is on, it's going to continuously update your system. Well, thank you very much. I hope this has been helpful. It's kind of late, so this is probably my last video for tonight. And I guess tomorrow, hopefully, we'll get into making that that entry form so that you can easily enter your news feeds without having to go into your database and manually do that like we did last time. Thank you, and have a great time. And if this helped you, please give me a thumbs up, comment, rate, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.